Hello again, everybody. This is your host, Dijon Ketchup, and we are about ready for our next run, Sayonara Wild Hearts, being run by FreyasSpirit.
Hello, we are Freyas, and we're going to be running Sayonara Wild Hearts, an amazing, amazing game. We're going to be telling the story of this game. This game goes through the Fool's journey, and we're going to be telling it through the lens of a trans story. And ultimately, this is a story about transformative change, which is something that we're super, super passionate about. And the gender transition story is it's a wonderful, wonderful lens to tell it through. So with that, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, go.
Long ago, a harmonious universe existed beyond ours, and 3 divine arcana watched over it. But one night, a cursed arcana intersected the astral highways, and along with her star-crossed allies, they stole all harmony and hid it in their vile hearts. Before the divine trio started to fade, they created a heroine from the shards of a broken heart and hoped that she would one day be strong enough to save their world.
So we begin with our androgynous-looking heroine. So we are a death goddess. We have a deep spiritual relationship with death. So when we saw that it called the death card a cursed arcana, we were very cautious about this game. We consider the death card means change, and we consider that to be the most positive card in the entire deck. Transformative change is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Change is absolutely needed in so many cases. And death is what creates space for new things. It helps you let go of the past and just create new things for it. With death, we met her, we hugged her, we cuddled her, and then we welcomed her into our system. And that's been an amazingly, amazingly positive thing. So yes, absolutely the death card is the most positive card in the entire deck. Change. A journey of transformation. Becoming yourself. Destroying your past, letting go of your future, and making space for a new you. And thus we have the full superheroine form. The story that this game tells is so good, and the mechanism of storytelling is amazing. So here the Fool faces 5 obstacles here. The first is the devil. Traditionally, the devil is portrayed as having the devil with two humans at the devil's side with chains around their necks. Only upon closer examination, the chains are actually very loose around their necks. The devil isn't actually holding them back. The chains aren't holding them back at all. The humans are holding themselves there because they aren't allowing themselves to see that they can change. This entire first stage of the Fool's journey is about herself allowing her to see that transition is possible. Transition has always been possible. She just needs to see that the chains holding her to her past aren't really holding her. It's just all inside of her head. So here we begin with a super cute motorcycle. And we get to experience the Fool's journey with her. We absolutely love this motorcycle that she gets. This is a very, very fun tutorial level. It just feels super fast-paced, very, very upbeat music, and it just creates an awesome, awesome atmosphere. The atmosphere of this entire game is amazing. So here you have the Dancing Devils. Each card that you face has a physical representation. This is a tutorial level of this mechanic. This game is so satisfying to play. If anybody has not played this game, your first playthrough will only be about one and a half to 2 hours. It is a very easy game to just play through once, and the story is so rewarding. And this is where the game starts to get real. The stage and song is called Begin Again. So the devil is all about feeling trapped, and for that aesthetic, if you notice for this level, all of the streets are incredibly, incredibly narrow. The visual storytelling in this game is incredible. And this level absolutely, absolutely nails it. When you're first playing it, this is the level that will just make you fall in love with it. This is a song about how hard it is to begin again, and just all the emotions that go with starting over and beginning again. But that's just an important part of transformative change. Allowing yourself to think it's okay to begin again, to let go of your past life, to transition, to see a new life, new possibilities. And with that, the world opens. Remember the first time that we were playing this and just saw this? And we just like sent shivers down our spine. Every single time that we play it, it sends shivers down our spine. It is so, so, so good. Just the colors, the visuals, the lyrics. Getting to fly. Watching the world fall apart. It's so, so, so beautiful. And because the song is Begin Again, there's 3 dancing devils. So you're going to begin again. And you're going to go through this loop exactly 3 times. Each time with the narrow streets, reminding you that you've chained yourself to the devil. You're not allowing yourself to see. You feel trapped, even though you really aren't, and the options are available to you. The option of transformative change is always, always there, at any time in your life. You can be 20 years old, you can be 50 years old, doesn't matter. Transformative change will always be an option. We personally want to go through our entire life and never stop having transformative change. That is one of our life goals. Just to constantly be growing and becoming more and more ourselves. Gathering more and more experiences and just doing what we need to become ourselves again and again and again and again. And the world shatters again. Now we're in the third Dancing Devil. Last bit of beginning again. The song is about just letting go of your past, letting go of your future, creating space for something new. Ultimately, the most important part of journey of transformative change. Just letting go and allowing yourself to begin the journey. There will be road bumps along the way, but once you've started the journey, your story begins to write itself. And thus, the Fool has allowed herself to see that beginning again as possible. The journey of change has truly begun. The next card is the Moon. The Moon is distortion. It distorts the sunlight. And it's also about turning inwards and looking at yourself. Turning inwards, looking at your emotions. Doing a bunch more internal work. Physical representation of the moon is the howling moons. Ooh. The Emperor, your guide, is going to guide you through these woods. We love the development story of this. They wanted to make a game that just went with a pop music album. And wow, did they do an amazing job. Yes, the visuals, the entire aesthetic of this game is amazing. It really transforms you to another world. that this stage is full of distortion, and it gives a very, very psychedelic feel. Psychedelics are very, very well known for forcing you to look at what you need to, whether you're ready or not. And we choose to believe that the Fool uses psychedelics very responsibly to force herself to look at what she needs to do the internal work required to prepare herself for transitioning. So, if you've ever wanted to play a game with heart-shaped lasers, this is the one. Temperance and Justice. And heart-shaped lasers. The music for this game is really, really good too. We would highly, highly recommend it just for that. It just kind of has this energy that comes with it. Got any donations? This is an excellent time.
I'll just give a quick reminder that once again, Power of Pride is partnering with the Yeti to bring you shirts based on various throughout this event. And these awesome designs will only be around as long as the marathon is, so make sure you pick them up now. $5 from each shirt sale goes directly to the Trevor Project. Visit theyeti.com to check them all out, and man.
The lyrics of this song are very much so about being alone in an empty city and just turning inwards with your own thoughts and emotions and doing the processing you need to begin your transition. Any transformative change is a long process and requires many steps. And turning inwards is the next step for the Fool. And this motorcycle in first person actually controls fairly differently. We actually like to use the analog stick for that, just because it allows for much more precise movements, whereas we use the D-pad for most of the game. We love the superheroine poses that she does. And with that, the fool's internal emotional journey is over. Next up is the tower. This one is interesting. In every segment except for this, the first card you face is the same as the boss. And in this case, we believe that we thought long and hard about how to interpret that. And the simplest interpretation is that the first card is the obstacle that you're facing. The tower is something, means that something is not what it seems. The tower is very much associated with a fall from grace. A tower falling under divine retribution as it's struck by lightning. With people falling out of the tower. And in this case, we think the lovers are the personification of what is not right. A partner, a parent, someone is holding the fool back and is not being supportive for the fool's transformative change, the fool's transition. And that is the obstacle that must be overcome. The tower must be overcome. The fool must learn to live for herself, not for somebody else. Not to try to make other people happy, to make herself happy and to become herself. So the Lovers card is very associated with choices, and for the first time in the game, we can make choices. Left versus right. Here we have the Lover, splitting into two for choices. And this is an excellent way to just demonstrate the duality of lovers. Just immediately demonstrates it with a very conceptually cool level. And this is very well done. Not only is it a conceptually cool level, it does it to the music. We are very huge fans of musically conceptually cool things. Suddenly you have the power to change the world around you. It's the first time in the game that the Fool has had the power to actively change the world around her. So this song is called Mine. The lyrics, we spent so long trying to figure out what this is actually referring to. Like, the best theory that we could come up with was that this is a song being sung to the Fool, not the Fool actually singing this song. And right here, your wild heart glitters. And your wild hearts glitter sealed the deal to us that this is somebody else singing singing the song about the fool. A parent, a partner, a sibling, somebody being possessive of the fool and not wanting the fool to transition, trying to hold the fool back from transformative change because they think of the fool as their property rather than as a full person. And we love this part of the game. We love the swords falling to the music. So there's somebody trying to hold the fool back and being possessive, and the fool must learn to live for herself and just recognize it's okay to become herself, even if that means leaving some humans behind. Some people who don't have your best interest at heart, it's okay to leave them behind. And often a hugely, hugely important part of becoming yourself. With that, the fool has conquered this obstacle. She has moved on. She's okay with leaving others behind on her journey of becoming herself. If those people are not willing to follow her on her journey, and simply see the fool as an object for them to own. Next up is the hermit. Now that all of that work is done, the next step is creating space for the change to actually occur. And that means really turning inwards. Turning inwards is a hugely important part of any journey of transformation. Just turning inwards, isolating, giving yourself the time to properly process, and doing any pre-work that's going to be needed before the change actually takes place. And here we see the chariot. Desert of doubts. The fool is doing her own internal processing. And here, she's alone in the middle of the night, in the middle of the desert, just alone with herself. And now, it might not look it, or it might look it, but this car handles atrociously. It's a very different feel from the rest of the game. And now, we think this is a really, really cool use of the hermit. Just turning inwards and spending time in VR. Next level is incredibly slow paced. Exactly what you'd expect from turning inwards and just isolating. Nothing much is happening, but what is happening is super important. Very quiet, especially to anybody external. Very quiet, uneventful looking part of transformative change. Just doing internal work. And the quietness of this level means it's not particularly exciting to play, but we think that in terms of the storytelling, having this here is hugely, hugely important. It really, really adds to the narrative. And it really, really demonstrates an important part of transformative change. Just before you're ready to make the change external, turning inwards and making the change internal. And now one of our probably our favorite use of cards in the entire deck is the way that they use the world. The world is a VR headset. Just an amazingly, amazingly creative way to throw the world in. The lyrics of this song are very telling. I'm too old to start changing. I'm too old to start changing. I'm too tired. And this is the counterpoint to begin again. The fool is exhausted and is questioning whether she's too old to start making these changes. And the answer to that question is that you're never too old to start making transformative change. You can be 50 years old, 70 years old, and there's always space for more transformative change. You can always make changes in your life. One of our goals in life is to never stop changing, never stop having transformative change. Until the day we die, we expect ourselves to continue growing, continue changing, continue making whatever changes are necessary for us to become more ourselves. Transitioning was one piece of transformative change for us, but there's been so many others. There are going to be so many more. And transformative change is something that we're truly, truly passionate about. It's one of the core pieces of ourselves. We are a death goddess. We will destroy whatever is needed in our life over and over and over again so we can create space to become more ourselves. It's such an important part of who we are and who we're going to continuously work to become. And we can just talk endlessly about transformative change because we truly, truly love the topic. And it's been a core part of our life for almost our entire life. We'll change as many times as is needed. Not even needed, as many times as is optimal for us. Just to become more and more ourselves every single time. And with that, the Fool's internal work is completed. And the only obstacle that remains is the most positive card in the entire deck. Death. Change herself. The Fool must meet death and accept change herself. All the internal work is done. The Fool is ready to leave behind whoever is needed to actually make this change possible. All the internal work for the change is done. The Fool is ready to transition. All she needs to do is actually make it happen. Here you go. As you fall off the edge of the world, death. The story that this game tells is beautiful. We love the storytelling mechanism. It tells such a wonderful story with so few words. We really love how these heartbreak sequences are just increasingly disorienting. Because transformative change is disorienting. There's going to be a lot of times in the middle of it that are unpleasant. And to get past those, you really do have to just keep your eye on the goal. The middle of transformative change is often very unpleasant. But the end goal is so worth it. And it requires not being afraid of that discomfort. Being willing to do what it takes to become yourself. The queer community is full of people who have done what is once needed to become themselves. And that's one of the things that we really love about it. There's so many people who as teenagers, or in their 20s, or even 30s or later, just became themselves. And there's an understanding that you're just going to constantly be working on becoming yourself. The thing to be afraid of is not change itself. The thing to be afraid of is that you're going to miss some opportunities for change. There are times that you could have become yourself. You could have had chances to become happier, or become happier earlier, and you missed them. But no matter how many you miss, how many you take, there will be more and more ahead. We've said it over and over and over again, but transformative change is something that we are truly passionate about. And transformative change is probably the single thing that we've been passionate about for more time than any other. We haven't always had the language for transformative change, but it has been something that we've been passionate about ever since we were a teenager. Constantly just becoming ourselves. And there is little Death with her cute little scythe. When we were 15 or 16 years old, we began the process of creating our deep spiritual relationship with death. A huge part of the amount of work was done there. Our transition story was interesting because of our intermittent relationship with death and the work that we did when we were 15 and 16. We did the internal work for transitioning half a decade before we knew that transitioning was even possible for us. Just the tools from tools of allowing yourself to see that transformative change is possible. Getting in the habit of transformative change, that will open so many doors for you. That opens so many doors. Death is letting go of your future and creating space for a better future. The Fool is letting go of her pre-transition life so she can do what is needed for transition. We met Death, we held her hand, we cuddled her, and then we welcomed her into our system. We've been so lucky to have her around. Personification of change, no fear, just calm acceptance of whatever changes need to happen for us to become ourselves. This is such a beautiful game that just tells such a powerful story with basically no words. There we go. The core. One final level to go. We just can't say we can't say too many times how much we absolutely just love this game. We definitely love this segment. This is another example of things happening in the game to the beat. We really love the pacing of the last level. Especially once you get used to the game, like the pacing of the final few stages just feels amazing. Yes, the core is rebroken. And now, you leave your superheroine self behind, and you become your androgynous self that you started as, simply yourself. And you have to face all of the 5 aspects again, very quickly. Only this time, instead of defeating them, you learn to fall in love with aspects of yourself. Yes. Here we have Little Death herself. Becoming okay with change yourself.
Then the voices of the 3 divine arcana echo from the beyond. And through the wind, their words soar. From the shards of your broken heart, the real heroine has risen. You have restored the lost harmony of the world. Now you must stand and find harmony in your home.
And we have a beautiful bonus segment of the Fool accepting her internal dragonkin self. Such a beautiful, beautiful moment at the end of the game. Kiss that dragon! There we go. Our first ever gold rank on Album Arcade 2. That feels really good.
Not long ago, in a town much like yours, there was a young woman who fell out of love, asleep, away. For years she fell through spirals of sadness and anger until she could not fall any deeper and fell right back into her grave.
From androgynous looking creature to cute girl. This is It's been wonderful. We're super glad that we got to show this off. Every time we play this game, it just brings us so much joy. The story is incredible. The storytelling is incredible. There's so little, there's so few words in the story. It's all visual and through the meaning behind the tarot cards. And yet it tells such a powerful journey. That doesn't even, that transition is like a powerful narrative there but there's so many others. The loss of a partner, the loss of yourself, the loss of a future, letting go of anything that you need to move on from and just become more yourself. Powerful, powerful journey. We hope to never stop having transformative change in our life, and we hope that many of you will choose to go on a lifelong journey of continuous transformative change as needed. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I'll hand it back to you, Dijon.
All right, thank you very much for that wonderful run, Freyas. We're about to go to a quick break, but first, we did get a donation in to read real quick. We got $5 from Cuddly, who says, "This game is beautiful to watch, and FreyasSpirit's commentary is so inspirational and moving." And, like I said, we're going to take a quick break, and our next run coming up is going to be The Quiet Man by Oscar424.